Hello, I just wanted to make another quick tutorial. I have no script for this one, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm just going to show you how to make a cool kind of realistic stair with planks of wood that are deformed. So we're going to make a grid of 8. Get real close to the grid, and let's say that it's going to be 24 wide. Each step is 24 wide and 8 deep. So we'll start with that first quad. And actually, we should just give this thing a landing first. And then we will make the first step by extruding this edge. So they're going to be 8 tall. And I think 16. Well, first let's grab a player and see how big they are. So that's pretty small. So let's actually, we should change the size of this quite a bit then. Say that looks pretty normal. So we'll do 40 wide, 8 tall, and 16 deep. Let me just make this landing square. Okay. I believe this might be the scale they used for the stairs in the game. Let's find out. I get this construction ramp. That should be good for measuring. Yeah, it's pretty similar. Doesn't have to be perfect, or it doesn't have to be exactly like they did in the game. But say we're a little bit bigger than this staircase, but that's fine. So now I'm going to just keep extruding this edge. Let's just make this like, let's make like 10 steps. Seven, 8, 9, 10, and then the landing. So this should be, and I'm just holding shift and extruding these. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you know how to do that. And this needs to be 40 long. Okay, cool. So now we got this little staircase. And so I'm gonna just get rid of this guy. And what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna duplicate this entire mesh because we need a base version to kind of sit underneath our decorative stairs. So I'm just gonna copy this and then Control-Shift-V to paste a copy exactly where I started. And I'll just move this copy out of the way so we can work on this specifically. So now what we're gonna do here is we're going to grab all these faces. You can do this one at a time, but it doesn't really matter. And then we're gonna go to our materials. And we're gonna find this wood trim texture. The painted one is good because then you can decide to add details later if you want. We're going to apply by hotspot. And I like the way that looks. I think that's fine because we're about to mess with this a bunch. This one should probably be changed. What you want to make sure is that it looks like the stairs are made up of planks that are all the same size. So this would probably look more like that. And you could rotate this if you wanted to. Might add a little bit more realism. Same down here. Just, oh, that's not square. That's strange. Okay, let's square this off. And we will do our fast texture tool again. And this is when it starts to get kind of fun and a little bit complicated, but it shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be too hard to figure out. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is hit C to divide these, because we're going to have each step be the width of 2 planks of wood. And this is the size of our wood. It's 8 wide. Just keep doing that. And again, I'm pressing C just to get the cut tool. And actually, I should be pressing spacebar. If you press enter, it'll exit the tool you're in. But if you press spacebar, it's much faster. And, you know, I guess we could just also do this effect up here too. Is that right? No, that's not. Again, we want to make it so that these are 8 wide every time. And since this is 4, that means we want to divide this into 5. Slice that. So now the next thing you have to do is separate all of these individual planks into components. What I'm doing is I'm clicking each face and then pressing Alt-N to extract the face from the original mesh. And you can see on the right, it's populating with a bunch of them. Alt-N, 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 Alt-N. Cool. So now we've got a staircase, and if I use mesh, oh, I should also Alt-N this, and I can also divide this guy into 4. I'm using the quad slice tool here. If you're on the grid, it's very, very easy to get these perfect sizes without doing too much work. So I'm also going to separate all these little guys. And now what you want to do is you want to cut this up into planks so it looks like this staircase was made from, you know, recycled bits of wood. And for this, like, the making your grid like 2 or less is generally pretty good. And you know, you can just do whatever you think looks natural. You know, this could be like, some of the steps may have more cuts than others because we're picturing this staircase was made out of pieces of scrap, because this is a very rustic look we're going for. So I'm just going to slice these quads into even smaller pieces. I'm going to try to stick to like 3 cuts per step, just because I don't want to take too long on this. But come on, what are you doing? Okay, so that's 1, 2. Dude, what the hell? Why are you being so weird? I'm gonna go ahead and hide these just to make this part a little easier. In fact, hiding those is a good idea because it'll make the next part that we do a little easier too. So I'm gonna continue cutting these. Why is this being so bad? Come on. Come on. Dude. I think when they're touching, it has a hard time understanding what you actually want to cut. That's just fine. So we're going to keep cutting these. Cut this one kind of here. Once I've done like the first step, you should be all set and you don't have to watch the rest of it, but I think I'm going to try to do the whole staircase for the video just for practice. So again, I'm doing 1 cut on 1 plank and 2 cuts on the other plank, which will divide it into 5 planks. And you can mix up these numbers however you want. It doesn't really matter. is up to you. And then just gonna do the same thing here. I just slice these guys up in a way that looks somewhat natural. I'm gonna try not to cut in the exact same places. Okay, so now we have, oh, I forgot to do the base. I usually do the base last, but it's fine. I'm spending a little less time on the base because I don't think it's as important. Not every stairwell is going to have a landing that matches the stairs themselves. Okay, cool. So now that you have these cut up into individual slices, you're going to go in and click on them. Make sure that you still have this this texture selected, and you're going to go Fast Texture Tool, and you're going to use Existing, and you're just going to move each one around a little bit, because that's going to make it look like they're coming from different parts of the tree. Like the whole idea behind this style is that you've got this, you know, this reclaimed wood look, so that it looks like you got a bunch of different pieces of wood that were cut to the same size. They may come from different parts of, you know, a destroyed house. This is pretty like common stuff in architecture. And so we're going to just keep moving these around. And since there's hold on, this one looks a little weird, so I'm going to change it. I want to make sure you don't have any obvious edges. Keep doing that, and you only have to do 4 of the 5 because the last one's going to be different no matter what. Cool. And you could even, if you wanted to do something kind of neat, you could actually select one of these faces and go to your painting tool and, you know, paint them. I'm gonna make it a little strong, a little smaller, just to give the wood a little bit more character. I'm probably not going to do that for this one, but it's an option. It's why we chose the painted version of the texture. Just making sure I'm still recording. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to keep going. Just keep making sure I select parts of the wood that look good in this context. Like you never want this edge because that just kind of looks sloppy, like it wasn't really cut right or something. Texture tool, just keep doing that. This part takes a little bit, but you know, it's worth it. The result looks really cool. Did I? Texture tool. And there's probably a faster way to do this, but I'm definitely not an expert. I'm not claiming to be. I'm just showing you a technique that I figured out to make wood look kind of cool. If you wanted to go even faster, you could actually select the center one and just move one of them, because it's not obvious that these two come from the same plank since they're divided. So I'll just do that. I'll just grab the middle. Fast texture tool, grab the middle, move it. This one doesn't have a middle, but I still need to move it. We're almost to the top. Now, see, I'm actually getting these lines that I don't like because I'm getting a little too messy and not paying attention. Still getting it. There we go. That's a line I don't like. Keep doing it. We're almost to the top of the stairs. Fast texture tool. And now we've got these. kind of might just change every other one. I think that'll be a little bit quicker. And again, it doesn't really have to be perfect. The idea of this look is that, you know, sometimes people will demolish a barn and it'll be full of really nice wood that they want to use in their house or their restaurant or whatever, and so they restain everything and, you know, make stuff out of it. So I forgot to do this one. This poor landing is so neglected. Here I go. Almost done. Almost done. Almost done. Well, we're almost done with the texturing part. The next part is the most important part, and it's why I made the video. Because if I was just telling you how to move around textures, then it wouldn't be much of a tutorial, would it? So now we have all of these steps. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to once again press Alt-N to separate each one into its own mesh. And you'll see why. Because if we were to do this without this step, we would have a lot of n-gons in our map. So I'm just going to keep doing that. This part doesn't take super long because it's just a shortcut key. Again, that's Alt-N. I really should get the thing that shows my keyboard presses on the screen. So now we get these nice steps. I'm just going to use my mesh tool to make sure that they're all separate meshes, because if they're on the same mesh, then again, you're going to get a bunch of n-gons, because what we're going to do next is extract these boards to make them look three-dimensional. So it looks like everything's good and separated. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. And so now we're ready for the next part. Oh, did I forget to? Of course I forgot to do the every time. I always forget the bottom. Mesh it. Cool. All right, good. Now we have all these separate meshes, and what we're going to do is we're just going to start with the first step. I'm going to shift click all these. I'm in faces mode. I'm going to shift click all these guides. And we're going to extract these quite a bit farther than you're probably expecting. So I'm just going to extract it 16 tall. And that's just to make sure that we get the sides looking good. So now I'm just going to do a quick fast texture tool and make sure we're world scale and horizontal. See, every time I do this, it tends to think that I want these to be vertical, which is not how wood planks look in real life. Like, you don't switch the grain. And these are much less important because these are only really going to be seen by the player a tiny bit, but I still think it's important to make sure they look good. Again, make sure everything's world scale and all the grain is going the same direction. On this side, it's okay for it to not be going the same direction because this is the end of the plank. So it would actually wrap like this. It might not have these marks, so I'll change this one. But other than that, it probably makes sense for these to be wrapping that way. Now what you're going to do is you're going to select each face and you're going to grab this rotation tool. And you're going to rotate it. Don't rotate it along the blue axis, just the green and the red. But you're going to rotate it a little bit. And again, rotate it more than you think you should, because this is all going to get shrunk back down at the end. But just rotate it, you know, enough that it's obvious that these are not perfect pieces of wood. And At the end, if you think it's too rough, you can just hit undo and try again. But we're just gonna, give these some character. And oops, I went one step too far. I don't need to be doing those. We're just doing one step for now. So now we've got these crooked steps. I'm gonna actually make them a little less crooked. And I think that's fine. So now what we do is we click our mesh tool again. We grab all of our steps, and then we click on this and we just shrink it back down so that it's like 1 unit wide. And now you can see we've got these like pretty nice looking planks of wood. And actually, I want to take this edge, make sure that we're going along the grain correctly. And then you just kind of repeat that. So let me hit unhide and bring a little light in here so you can see what this looks like. So point light. I'm gonna make it something kind of natural looking. So let's grab this and pick like a dark yellow value and turn on our lighting and see what it looks like. So yeah, I'd say I probably rotated this one a little too much. And it looks like I rotated it along the wrong axis. I'm actually gonna hit undo and try that again. But this is a lot of like guessing and testing, So I'm actually just gonna start over and be a little more gentle with my rotations this time. And if you don't want to rotate them, like if you want it to be a little bit more perfect, you can actually just grab an edge instead of rotating it. I like rotating it because I think it looks more like crazy and like rotten or whatever. But this works fine too, and it'll make sure that what just happened doesn't happen. So these are all just suggestions. It's best if you just do things your own way. Yeah, so now we've got these 5 planks, and we can squash them down again. And I'm holding Control to remove the snapping, but it's still gonna give it like 1 unit of thickness. I'd say that looks better, but maybe not enough distortion, which is where rotating really helps make it look more realistic. So I'm just going to rotate them along the one axis so that we don't get any edges that are too crazy. Grab my mesh tool, shrink them down. And yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's okay. So again, I just want to make sure that I'm seeing the correct edge of this wood. And then you just do that a bunch of times, and you should have a nice. I'm gonna actually change the top of this one because I don't like the way that looks. And this looks a lot better once you introduce some lighting. But see, the texture has all that grain detail built in, so you can actually see the wood grain, and it's pretty cool. Let's make this a little more realistic. Yellow, deep yellow color. And so we're just going to do that again. We grab all these faces, extract it. This time I'm just going to extract it 4. because I think that extracting at 8 might have squashed it too much. I'm going to rotate this, rotate this, rotate this. And once again, we got to make sure these faces have the right grain direction. Usually just hitting fast texture tool does enough to fix it, but not all the time. Sometimes you gotta change the alignment. Okay. Texture tool. And you really only have to do this on the ones that are gonna be visible to the player. The ones that are hidden, you can honestly delete if you want to keep your poly count down, but this is not a super high poly item anyways. Let's see what's going on this side. That's fine. This is the back of the stair, which the player is never going to see unless you wanted this to be visible from below, in which case you're going to have to fill in the bottoms. But I'm not going to worry about that today. So now I'm just going to grab my mesh tool, grab these edges, and squish it down. And now we got a nice, I'd say this one looks better than the previous one. I'm not sure why this guy's got so much attitude right here, but we can actually just rotate this back to hide that kind of ugly edge a little bit. And yeah, this is like fairly time consuming, but I think the result is really worth it. You know, like this is starting to look pretty believable. And you know, as the player sees this, it's gonna really immerse them in the world that you're creating. I think the landing could be a little bit less distorted because I think that landings probably don't get as much wear and tear as the stairs themselves. So we're just gonna grab all these faces. Again, you have to make sure that these are all separate meshes because if they're not, it's gonna look very strange. I'm gonna try something different this time. I'm gonna rotate all of them a little bit together first. And then as far as the grain on the side of these boards, that's going to be even less important unless the player is ever going to be at eye level with these, which I doubt is going to happen because again, this is the bottom landing of a staircase, so they'd have to be pretty deep in the floor in order for that to be a problem. So I'm not going to worry about the sides here, but I'm just going to, you know, grab my mesh tool and grab all these distorted planks and shrink them down again. Now we've got a nice landing that looks pretty realistic. I'm thinking I might make a tile mesh set for this style because I think that would be really useful for people making staircases. But that's pretty much it. You know, I've got 2 down, 8 to go, which will probably take like an hour, so I'm not going to do that. But I will open a map where I've already done this technique to show you what this looks like in the context of a map. The prefab. So I want to open the main map, and I'll just turn on all lighting, and you can see we've got these very nice wooden planks. Our stairs. And what I actually did at the end of this, I'll go back to the other one to show you the final step. What you're going to want to do at the end of this is just go full bright. I'm going to hit U to unhide the inner steps. And then, oh, what in the world? Oh yeah, okay, so I didn't do the whole staircase. But once you've done that, you're going to want to go back into your mesh tool and grab all of these and then resize them just like 1 unit, maybe even half a unit. And you want to make sure to have your materials preserved. And that'll just give it a nice lip to make the stairs look that much more realistic, see? Whereas before it was just kind of like that. Now we can just grab these and just pull it out a little bit. And then you've got this nice lip for your staircase. And if you want to get crazy detailed, you can always just grab one of these edges and press P to fill it. But again, this is likely a detail the player will never see, so it's not super important unless you've got, you know, lighting that you really want to do. That's pretty much it. That's how I make staircases. I'm going to do it again just down here, just so you can see. Grab that, drag this along 1 unit, and now you got this nice kind of rustic looking staircase with these nice edges. Let's just for fun like add some paint just to make it look a little bit more lived in. You can see this is adding, like you can even like, for example, if you paint these most of the way white and then imagine where a person might step, you can then, I don't know why this brush doesn't go down to smaller sizes, but you can like, you know, put little wear and tear where you think people would be stepping and eventually making, I'm doing that by holding control and clicking, by the way. So like, I think that the most likely area to get stepped on is probably towards the edge, and then the inside up here is probably the most likely to be, you know, to survive. And the reason why we made this staircase here is because if we run into any issues as far as like navigation is concerned, or, you know, like if the enemy's having a hard time moving around your map, you can use this staircase as like a nav mesh, and you can basically make this staircase not actually exist other than visually, and then the real staircase will be just this bare. You can give it like a no draw texture, and apply material, and now you've got this nice invisible no draw staircase that the player can walk on while taking in all this nice scenery. Do a couple more just for fun. So yeah, we grab this, extract it. I like to go at least 4 because it lets me really rotate these without them. Because if you don't go high enough, this is what happens. So if I don't go high enough, when I rotate this, you'll see I get these red bits that are improper. So having the more vertical space you have, the more you can really fine tune these edges before you go ahead and flatten them down. Grab. You know, actually, if you wanted to be quicker, you could actually just select these and then rotate by 90 here. Yeah, that's better. You know, just grab these and rotate by 90 degrees, and you should be good. Grab these meshes, and once again, we're just going to flatten them down. Now make sure when you're flattening these, I forgot to say this, when you're flattening these, you want to make sure to unlock your textures, because you don't want to distort these. They're already right, they're already correct, and the sides are already correct. If you squish them down, it'll look distorted and strange. So once you do that, you can, I gotta set my grid to 1, because this will actually only let you flatten down to a grid size of whatever's this. So 1's actually a really good number for this. And once you have it flattened, that's when you can lock your textures again and pull it out 1 unit to give you that nice lip. And that's how I make stairs. I hope you liked this tutorial. I might just make this a prefab and link it in the video when it's done. But that's basically it. Let me know what you think about this. I might use this to learn how to make tile meshes, because I think tile meshes are really neat. But yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna sign off now, and I hope you enjoyed this.